and the judge don't f them. And that's exactly what they did. And so she never showed up on the question.
Furthermore, the adjudicator don't, and that is precisely exact thing they did, thus she never appeared from the examiner. The most importantly is, there has been pessimistic promulgation put out about me that is false and unstable new development that has overwhelmed the diversion world. Suge Knight, the famous previous Death Row Records president, has approached with stunning cases about a portion of the business most persuasive figures in a noteworthy episode of Gather Call with Suge Knight broadcast. Ed on Sunday, February 4th, by means of Dave Might's Break B Media Night, unveils a mysterious undertaking that has stayed stowed away from the public eye for quite a long time. This call and your phone number will be checked and recorded. Essentially, my ally Knight attests that Diddy's previous tutor and Uptown Records' big boss, the late Andre Harrell, was associated with a surreptitious close connection with, in all honesty, Russell Simmons, a titan in the music business, yet the stunners don't stop. Their concurring T-night, this relationship was a pair undertaking fair as well as reached out into a more mind-boggling triangle, including Diddy himself, Andre Harrell, and Russell Simmons. Everyone realized. Knight strongly states in the meeting, proposing that inside industry circles this was a loosely held bit of information, yet one not talked about freely. No doubt Mickey finds it. What's he said me, this buddy didn't address me since they didn't undermine my family. These charges have sent swells through of media outlets, provoking a re-examination of the connections and influence elements at play in the higher classes of music's tip-top. As the story unfurls, inquiries concerning ascent, mentorship, and the effect of these connections on Diddy's profession and self-awareness come to the bleeding dead. Then, at that point, said, "No, don't trip, we should go." He say let trip yet, he said we should simply go inside the court. We go inside the court, and before we dig into the fascinating cases made by Suge, how about we investigate the perplexing connection between Shay Diddy Coles and his tutor, the late Andre Harrell. The connection among Diddy and Harrell was out and out significant, as confirmed by the genuine recognitions that poured in following Harrell's unfavorable passing. When insight about Harrell's ends started to flow, it sent shockwaves through the music local area. DJ D Pleasant was among quick to report the staggering news during a close-to-home Instagram live meeting. Harrell, the visionary behind Uptown Records, and the one who sent off the vocations of me stars like Diddy himself and Mary J. Blige, capitulated to cardiovascular breakdown at 59 years old following this misfortune. It took Diddy a couple of days to accumulate his contemplations and express his pain openly, yet when he did, his words were piercing and intelligent of the significant effect Harrell had on his life. In a sad Instagram post on May 11th, Diddy shared an ardent video recognition offering thanks to Harrell for the pen doors he gave Dre. "I'm just standing up here since you gave me an opportunity," Diddy sincerely passed. Yet in particular, what we as a whole have on to do as an individual of color. You took me under your wing and showed me, and you showed me, and you showed me, and you showed me, you game, you put stock in me. The opinion reverberated all through the business, with Diddy stressing the priceless mentorship and direction Harrell offered him. "I really still can't really accept that it did hit. Just let it out in the post. I must provide myself with the truth of this in dosages. Since I couldn't deal with this, I desire to God that you are undeniably honored to have somebody in your life that loves you and has faith in you like this man put stock in me." Carroll's effect stretched out a long ways past Diddy as recognitions overflowed in from individual craftsmen and industry insiders. Russell Simmons, who assumed a vital part in Harrell's vocation, battled to track down words to communicate his misery on Instagram. "Grievous, no words, my closest companion, generally empathetic, great-hearted, loaded with affection. And what a lovely heritage she leads in this world," Simmons wrote in a piercing accolade. Now, as we ponder the significant impact and Ray Harrell had on Diddy and innumerable others, gossipy tidbits about a more profound association between the two men have re-emerged. Murmurs of a heartfelt snare have long circled inside industry circles, recommending that their relationship might have risen above the limits of mentorship. He showed Diddy the best way to get cash, and afterward, presumably showed them a few different things. Got take with that with you. Might there be truth to these hypotheses? Sugar uncovers new subtleties and takes these charges from gossip to truth. Didn't have anything to do with me, so I don't lament doing anything for the Knights cases strike at the core of the business influence structures, revealing insight into a shadowy universe of stealthy undertakings and secret plans. With the power of a verbal demolition hammer, he strikingly declares that Andre Harrell, the late illuminating presence behind Uptown Records, and Russell Simmons, the baffling prime supporter of Def Jam, shared something other than business ties. They shared a mystery relationship. I'm not homophobic, and I truly don't, care you understand what I'm talking about. I'm awful at the game, and it's most likely clever. I couldn't want anything more than to see it right. After these hazardous claims, the business winds up wrestling with awkward insights and implicit real factors. What once snuck in the shadows currently stands presented to the brutal light of examination, compelling a retribution with the complicated exchange of influence, honor, and sexuality that supports the music business. Yet Knight's disclosures don't stop there. In a dazzling turn that takes steps to overturn the account, unequivocally he ensnares. As a matter of fact, Diddy quiets himself in the trap of interest turned by Harrell and Simmons agreeing. Knight Diddy's relationship with Harrell filled in as a passage into a universe of revelry and overabundance, driving him down a way of moral uncertainty and sketchy way of behaving. Puffy get his understudy stuff with Henry Harrell. Knight attests his words dribbling with suggestion that began his excursion. Puffy began some excursions, yet the dramatization doesn't end there. Knight's disclosures additionally cast a focus on Diddy's supposed relationship with, as a matter of fact, usher. The idea that the two might have been engaged with a mysterious issue adds another contort to the account, bringing up issues about the idea of their relationship and the effect it might have had on Diddy's profession. He said the justification for why they saying that individual got compromised is my significant other. They said your better half. He said no doubt Michael Harris to certain folks. Obviously it's critical to move toward these cases with a solid portion of suspicion. Knight, a questionable figure by his own doing, has a long history of blending the pot and offering freakish expressions from in a correctional facility. Yet might there be a bit of truth covered underneath the emotionalism? The reality of the situation will surface eventually, as the residue settles and the business wrestles with the aftermath from Knight's sensation disclosures. As the adventure unfurls, one thing is clear: the music business is no more bizarre to embarrass and interest. From secret undertakings to unpleasant contentions, the universe of diversion is a whirling cauldron of dramatization and debate. And with Suge Knight at the focal point, all things considered, the situation starts to get interesting with each passing disclosure. In the meantime, as the world wrestles with the ramifications of Knight's allegations, the man himself mopes in the bounds of a jail cell, his once strong domain burned up, carrying out a 28-year punishment for a lethal quick in and out. Knight stays a ghastly figure tormenting the edges of the music business, his words conveying the heaviness of a scene man everything, and resided to tell the story going on from the unstable allegations made by Suge Knight and the disclosures in regards to Diddy's supposed rude way up behaving towards ladies. It appears to be that the tempest encompassing the terrible kid magnate is a long way from sponsorship. Knight's claims shed light on Diddy's wild connections as well as allude to it and an upsetting example, a conduct profoundly dug inside the music business's influence elements. I mean, you that to have the